important it's been. Like I said, I was very shy growing up. Anxiety, depression, especially, that peaked around the time I started working out.
Jeremy Brick, owner of Brick Squad Barbell in Cleveland, Ohio. 20 years under the bar. He built himself from the inside out, and now he teaches other people to do the same.
What do you think the actual switch is to take that next journey? Because people come to you for one thing, but then they stay with you for something else.
I think, especially in the fitness industry, we look at the physical stuff. What's the sets and reps look like? What's your technique look like? What's your nutrition look like? And those are all really important things, but ultimately what people stay with me for is the mental transition side of things.
What would you tell somebody that's in that boat? Because I think our job as coaches is to be pattern recognition ability and to have that perspective to see it before. What would you tell somebody that's in that space right now?
I do go back to the fundamentals. I kind of remind them, I got to the level I've gotten by paying attention to the fundamentals. Like, none of us are too good for that.
What is your flaw?
I think my biggest flaw is...
And hey, thanks for coming.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Oh, you kidding me, man? I mean, I figured you got a pretty good warm-up in with some weights underneath you just a couple days ago.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. At the Arnold down in Columbus, got the opportunity to compete out there with some of the best in the business for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was a crazy pro meet. It was a really good event. I had a great time.
You did great too, man. You pulled some pretty good weight. How'd you miss 700?
Yeah.
How pissed? So tell me this.
Yeah.
How pissed were you that you didn't see those lights?
I was sick, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I told Gab when we got back to the hotel, I was like, that's the most heartbreaking miss I've ever had.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, it took me a good couple of days to get over it. Yeah. I was at peace with it because I was like, okay, I was on a big stage and there was people bombing out. You know, straight up not
everybody bombed out.
Yeah,
it was not a great event for some of the best in the world.
Attempt selection wise, you know, there was some people not making their lifts.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I was like, I'm being a little greedy wanting that last inch. But,
I mean, I think this idea of like pushing our limit is so cool.
Yeah,
that you did for sure.
Yeah. So I got a lot to go back to work with, but I was like, man, I was an inch from perfect though. That would have been my first 9 from 9 meet.
Oh wow!
You know, so because I've never had a perfect meet before. I've had a couple go like that way before, but that was the hardest one to deal with. You know, I told Gail, I was like, I'd rather bomb out than have that happen. But then I was like, nah, we don't want that.
No, I think that's really cool to see how much you pushed your limit. You didn't break. You just, you know, I mean, it looked good. That was the worst part. The worst part is like, it's just a judgment error, and it's just a matter of like, how well did you hold it? What was the actual total numbers?
So the actual total was 722 on squat, 380 bench, and then I ended up with 672 point something on deadlift.
It was 700.
700 even on the bar for the third attempt. So that
you got it up too. It was clean too.
So I was happy it wasn't a strength miss. Like it didn't get stable to the floor. I was strong enough for it. I just didn't execute the top end. What really happened was I lost my balance. Yeah. I think it came off the floor faster than I was expecting. I went in there expecting like a fight. And it was, but like I got it off. So I went in super aggressive, super hyped up.
3/4 of the way up there went up quick.
Yeah. So when I got it to about like right where I was about to get lockout, I just sort of lost my balance. It pulled me forward just a little bit, and then I pulled back up. And by that time, it's already downward motion. And it's over. Yeah. I felt it too. So I was like, damn it.
Yeah, but that look on your face, I was
sick.
Yeah, that look on your face said a lot about.
Yeah. So we got a while to get back to that, but it was
what's
good.
Really cool though is just that you put yourself out there. It's on a big stage. You've probably done plenty of those lifts privately, and I think that you want to push your limits. I think that's really cool. Yeah, so I'm proud of you. I think you should be very proud of you as well. But for those that don't know, who's Jeremy?
Yeah, so I'm Jeremy Brick. I'm the owner of Brick Squad Barbell back in Cleveland, Ohio. I own the gym with my wife, Gabrielle. We opened up in 2023. I've been in the fitness industry myself since 2015. I started competing regularly in bodybuilding in 2014. Got into powerlifting shortly after that. Got into personal training just in commercial gyms and at my college gym. While I was still in my undergrad at Cleveland State University, I got my certificate. I started training at the college gym in 2015, and it's been kind of on ever since. You know, I worked at commercial gyms for a couple of years, just kind of getting my feet wet, cutting my teeth, getting clients. And then in 2021, I started my official online business for myself. I do an online in-person hybrid. So I did that for a couple of years. Then in 2023, we opened Brick Squad Barbell to kind of give us a home base and a place to train our clients. We were training at another gym in Cleveland, but the way we saw the brand going and the way we saw our business going, we wanted to have that home base.
Yeah.
You know,
it's also a culture thing. You want to
exactly.
create an environment that suits you and suits the vision that you have for your clients.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what Brick Squad Barbell has given us the opportunity to do. It's sort of a home base for the entire brand. Obviously, we have our people, we have our members, we have our people we train in person, and then we've also got an online client base which spans worldwide. Yeah. But Brick Squad Barbell is the brand. Yeah.
And I think what's really cool too is you've had people that have worked with you in person, then they go and they move, right?
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people would want to if they are living in Cleveland.
Understandable.
But you know, they move, but then they still have that relationship, and they're still attaching kind of their name to you through their health and fitness, and they trust you with that, which is really valuable, because I think oftentimes people are very intimidated to go into a gym, and what you've been able to give them is that level of confidence to be like, hey, no matter where you are, we're going to work with you. And strength's important. Yeah. And I think every time you have that mission of like something that you truly like live and breathe, and then you're able to kind of bring that to other people. I mean, your wife does an amazing job of like giving women confidence to getting stronger. And same thing with you and your clients, but you're able to kind of take them globally because they're not limited by just proximity, which is really important. What was the biggest shift for you for your own education? Because I know that you're very well educated. You put a lot of effort into how you work with your clients, but like, where did you first start getting all your education to have the confidence to go into personal training? Yeah. So my biggest thing is, obviously I do have the college degree and the certifications and those sort of things. That's been very important to me. But the biggest thing was I've just been so application based for so long. What does that mean?
Yeah. So for me, I started lifting weights when I was in 7th grade. And I was 13.
You didn't pop out like that?
I did not, So I got to be about 13, 14 years old, and I was starting to play football, and I was a skinny kid growing up. Oh, wow. So I started playing football, and basically, just like a lot of us, we get tired of getting beat up. I was like, I looked at the guys on TV.
Don't know what that's like, but I understand.
I'm kind of tired of that at 13, 14. I'm like, I'm kind of skinny. I'm getting to play football. And I saw the guys on TV. I want to look like them. I want to look like the running backs and the linebackers, that sort of thing.
You got the wrong genetics to look like that. Just FYI, from someone who knows that, you must have missed that game.
Yeah. So I was excited about I wanted to look the part, and I wanted to be able to go out there and have punishment on people instead of just getting on me. Yep. But so I got very into the weight room immediately. In 7th grade, 8th grade, all the way through high school. That was just what I did, and I realized how important it was. And I got to college, and I wanted to go into coaching. I knew that.
You did early.
I wanted to be a coach. I didn't know what I wanted to coach. I thought I was going to coach track. You did. Because I had a pretty good track career in high school.
Running or throwing?
Running.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was a 400, 800 runner in high school.
Oh, miserable.
Yeah, I was miserable.
Oh, golly, you like the hard stuff.
Yeah, so I had some good success with that in high school, and I had some good connections within my high school, and I thought I was going to go into coaching while I was in college to do that. But then I get to undergrad, and I found out exercise science was a thing. I found out personal training was a thing. And as that kind of evolved into, I needed a competitive outlet for myself, so I got into bodybuilding. Cool. I did my first bodybuilding show in 2014 when I was 20. So because I had that base built up already over the previous 7 years. So once I got into that, and I sort of started to look around a little bit and sort of see into the field, see people doing what I wanted to do. It didn't have, because when I got into college, it didn't have a picture. I didn't have a clear picture. I was like, I want to coach, I want to help people, but I don't know what that avenue or that lane really looks like for me. So when I got into competing, I was like, let me master competing and then turn around and help other people do the same thing.
And did you start coaching online, or were you at a commercial facility first?
So I was at commercial facilities first. And in the background, I was starting to put out content a little bit. I was starting to share. I shared a lot of my journey.
You're just a really good writer too. So I think that's something, I've always thought like your content is it really lands because it's clear, it's easy to read. You have a very empathetic tone with people. I tend to not have that as much with the coaching part, but you do with like understanding how do you meet people with where they are in their fitness journey, and you do a good job of that. Yeah. So, so I get to that point and I was like, okay, I want to help people. This might be my avenue. This might be the lane that I need to get in, because I saw what it did for me. I saw the confidence it gave me. I saw that, I go from being a shy, skinny kid to not being afraid to get up in front of people and talk in my college classes.
you know, and I'm applying myself in the gym and I'm seeing all these things. And then all of a sudden I realize that my competing in bodybuilding and powerlifting can be the lane to help people. Nice. I realize that can be where I turn around and I help people. Hey, this is what I did. Let me show you how to get here. Sure. You know, you probably I get people all the time. You probably got better genetics than me. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe the work ethic's not the same, but I can teach you to work hard. I can teach you to do the right things. And so that's where the application really came in for me. And that's why that's been so important to me. So like, obviously the college side of things and actually going to school, learning stuff by the book has been important because it taught me to speak the language. Yeah. But the rest of it's just been that application of relentless time under the bar for the last 20 years now.
How often were you training when you were younger?
I was like immediately a 6 or 7 day guy.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. I was like,
so you did right like from slow the rip. Drip?
Yeah. Like right from the rip. I went, when I was first working out, I was just doing push-ups, sit-ups, curls, that stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. I think I had like maybe a bodybuilding magazine that I had available. It's just 2007. Sure. You know, so, but I was right away 7 days a week, you know.
Just loved it.
I didn't do it. I did it for 6 months straight. And once I started seeing just a little bit of change happening, at 13, 14 years old, I was sold.
Get addicted, yeah. And I think that there's really cool things to be obsessed with. And if you could get obsessed with yourself, you could really make an impact in your own life. Yeah. How much has fitness, both from a visual identity, helped you with your confidence in other parts of your life?
Man, I can't even overstate it really, how important it's been. Like I said, I was very shy growing up. Anxiety, depression, especially that peaked around the time I started working out. You know, that's something I've never really gotten into that much in my content, but it was,
I don't know that version of you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Cause I mean, I don't
know the skinny version of you. Cause the guy that I met was like, that's a yoke, dude. When I first met you, I was laughing cause I pulled up and we were at like at the front door of the office cause the doors were locked. And I'm like, I look and I'm like, I know a lot of jack dudes, but I don't know that jack dude. Who's the jack dude? Yeah. And I was laughing and I'm like, I pull up to him, like I was getting closer. I'm like, I'm pretty good with bodies and shapes. That dude's jacked, but who is he? So I don't know the skinny version of Jeremy.
Yeah. So that kind of, you know, so for my own self-confidence, I mean, that changed everything. You know, all of a sudden, obviously you see the physical aspects of it. Like obviously I got to 8th grade, maybe the girls were paying attention to me a little more. That was obviously important, you know? So, but
nowadays you start lifting and guys start paying attention more in the gym.
That's what happens. There's like a shift. At first it's like women, then all of a sudden it's other dudes. That completely changes. But, you know, but for me, like obviously there's like the physical side of things, but then mental too, that kind of came later. I just realized I was more resilient, you know, mentally. And in other areas of my life, especially starting my own business.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I can look at it like, I went through building my body. I went through the delayed gratification of doing that. I can get the reps in building this business, no matter how long it's going to take to get things going.
You should do the consistent work that nobody wants to do, and that's where all the foundation's built.
Yeah, so from a fitness side of things, I was able to do that. I saw it happen already. I lived that side of things. It can 100% apply to what I'm doing now. It's no different. You know, there's skills I don't know. There's skills I've had to learn, and just the same as when I was starting to lift weights. You know, I went in with blind optimism, grounded my face into the ground, and then over time I learned better ways to do it. It's just been the same thing with running my business. You know, that's like why when we came out and met you guys, like all of a sudden we're like, okay, cool, there's a better way to do this. There's stuff, you know, there's stuff we can do. We can go back and apply immediately. And it's the same thing.
Well, it's just that it's our coach's job. I just happen to have, you know, I'm a little older. I've had that experience. And it's like, hey, let me just show you the path, just like you do for your customers and your clients and the people that you care about. Is you're like, hey, they don't need to go through the pain that you went through.
Exactly.
What, where do you see the majority of your clients coming to you when they first come to you? Like, what do you think the biggest insecurity that they have? Is it like understanding what to do in the weight room? Is it nutrition? What is the actual, the reason why they start the journey with you?
So majority of my clients, I would say they get to a point where they're doing stuff, they're working hard, but they're stuck. They get to a point where the stuff that got them there is not working anymore.
Yeah. It's like everything works until it doesn't.
Exactly. So they get to that inflection point where it's maybe their nutrition's the bottleneck, maybe their training technique or their periodization, especially because I'm working with a lot of my clients are high-level powerlifters, high-level bodybuilders. It gets to a point where the structure does become more important and there's more nuance to things. So they get to a point where they're stuck. You know, they know how to work hard. They know they're probably structured, but what's the 1% that they can get better at? You know, what are the little things that they can retool and that can take them to that next level, get them out of that like early intermediate stage to an advanced level?
And what do you think? Do you think the switch is more mental, or do you think the switch is like they got to show you enough consistent reps? What do you think the actual switch is to take that next journey? Because people come to you for one thing, but then they stay with you for something else.
Yeah, it's a great question, because I do think that there's I think especially in the fitness industry, we look at the physical stuff. We look at what's the sets and reps look like, what's your technique look like, what's your nutrition look like. And those are all really important things. But ultimately, like you said, what people stay with me for is the mental transition side of things. Because I have been at it for so long, and I have seen, it's been 20 years already for me. You know, in the grand scheme of things, maybe that's not that long, but I've seen phases come and go. I've seen what the actual journey looks like. And so when they come to me, I'm teaching them the mental skills to handle the long term. And kind of saying like, yeah, here's where you're going to run into a pitfall here. Or here's where progress might slow down, and it's going to feel like this is happening. But if we do this, this will happen. Yeah. And just perspective shifts too. Because I do think a lot of my clients, when they come to me, you know, they're maybe thinking they're at the end of their road, or they're just not sure what to do. And there's this frustration, you know, of like, I'm spinning my wheels and I'm not sure what to do next. And I can provide them with that clarity and that wisdom of like, hey, I remember exactly what it felt like when I was there. Here's what it's going to look like to get you out of that. Yeah. You know? And I do think there is a mental shift that needs to happen for a client that's in that position where they stop thinking so week to week and start looking year to year. You know?
What would you tell somebody that's in that boat? Because I think at our job as coaches is to be pattern recognition ability, to have that perspective, to see it before. What would you tell somebody that's in that space right now? What do you tell them to be to like look at? What would be your advice to them right now?
Yeah, so I obviously I do go back to the fundamentals usually, because I do think people really skip a lot of that initially. I'm like, are you getting all your protein in? Are you getting all your sleep in? Are you taking your supplements? Are you doing your mobility?
Do you feel like that's that important even though they get to another level? Do you think like the basics are still that required to take a next step?
Yeah, because I think when you get to a certain level, you start forgetting certain basic things.
You take it for granted.
You take it for granted. Then all of a sudden, if you actually audit yourself, you're like, no, you know, I haven't been having great sleep hygiene. I haven't been counting my protein. I haven't been counting my macros, or you know, I do get a little bit lazy on my warm up sets. You know, I do see that stuff happen.
And what do you do to kind of knock them on back on track?
I'm kind of blunt with it with a lot of people. You know, I kind of remind them, like, even like, I'll give myself an example sometimes. I got to the level I've gotten by paying attention to the fundamentals. Sure. Like, none of us are too good for that. You know, and I do remind people of that, and that sort of gets it back. But so I'm like, basically, like, why do you think you're above that? You know, what are you doing there that you think that you can get away with that now? If you're expecting to get to the next level, this stuff's that much more important, because your low-hanging fruit's starting to become like lesser and lesser. So it becomes that much more important to get those fundamentals so dialed in.
Yeah, it's hard to get to the 1% if the 99 is not dialed in.
Yeah, like if you're not 100%, if you're not 99% dialed in already, yeah, exactly. Where are you going to go from here? Because there's just the foundational stuff is still so key.
It's the same thing too with the big lift. I look at like a squat. There's a lot of reasons why you could miss a dead, but on a squat, if the foundations are not right, both from a stance and the way you take it out of the rack, you already know like what crumbled it is what was actually missing on the actual setup. Exactly. It's easier to lift to see because the pressure's coming down. The vertical pressure is easier to see a load. And it's the same thing with your life. It's the same thing with your habits. Is you're going to fall back down to that, and the foundation's got some holes in it. It will fall away.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I have Power 5 that I talk about all the time, and I'm curious to know, like, is there those fundamental things that you want your clients to do? So like my Power 5 are like, I believe that if I don't do these 5 things, which I don't do often, but they're just my reminder of how far I've gotten off that kind of calibration. So it's one of my recalibrators is my Power 5 are, number one, I need to read. And the input to my life, I cannot be from the daily news, because if the news of the world is in my life, then I'm going to have the chaos and drama of the world, and I need 100%. To get that out. Okay. Number 2 is I need to write. Clear writing is clear thinking. So the more I could crystallize my thoughts and put them on paper, the better it is for me. I also think neurologically, it's really powerful as we age and get older for us to understand that kind of tactile feel of writing, not necessarily typing. Move. I think it's a lot easier to let a old hinge that goes rusty, keep one greased, and you just keep it moving, because my body hurts a lot, and the more I move, the better I feel. It sucks in the beginning, because if you don't move for a long time, you feel better by not moving, but then you don't realize how bad you feel until you start getting over that hump of feeling better. And it's this kind of tough road to go on. So don't stop moving. Get your body grooving is my thought. Eat. I'll forget to eat. I haven't eaten anything all day. I feel perfectly fine. Coffee, keeps me going, but I never miss a good meal. So what happens is I overeat, and it's like, are you aligning your nutritional behaviors to what you want your outcomes to be? People tend to be like, well, one meal won't hurt you, but it will open up the can of worms for you to have a worse and worse nutritional foundation. And then last is I believe in, prayer. I believe in there's a higher power and a higher purpose. If you want to be a man or a person that lives of a higher purpose, then there needs to be a higher power that you kind of keeps you grounded. These are my fundamentals that I do get away from on a regular basis, but these are the things I need to do every day, because if I don't do them, then something's not right. What are your fundamentals that you do for either yourself or for your clients?
Yeah. So my fundamentals start with personal development.
Oh, interesting.
I think what I'm doing to feed my mind every day, it really shapes my reality. And I do believe that for myself. I believe that for my clients as well. So personal development, whether that's through the form of podcasts, reading, whatever is getting you in the right mind space to operate at a very high level every day. Making sure, like you said, like I don't watch the news. I don't put negativity into my brain first thing in the morning. I won't do it. It's such a bad way to start with negative momentum, So I say personal development, nutrition, so that's going to be making sure that not only my macronutrients are taken care of, but we want our micronutrients taken care of as well. Hydration, training, and then conditioning.
Nice.
So because I do think, especially the people I work with, probably don't condition enough. Powerlifters do not condition enough. Yeah. And I saw that last week when it was hot in the building. Oh,
even just like from an adrenaline standpoint, you're not used to that environment. Like it affects you. And I think that if your conditioning becomes if your workout is your conditioning, then what's going to happen is when the adrenaline and everything hits and there's more things that get added to it, once competition comes in place, now all of a sudden you're exhausting your body instead of being prepared for it.
Yeah, so that's something I really go over, especially with my competitive lifters. I'm like, it's something I hammer on people all the time. Again, a fundamental.
Yeah.
But you have to have a cardiovascular base and be in shape to be strong.
Absolutely. And people don't realize that until they get to a higher level. They don't know. In the beginning, their cardiovascular base does not have a big impact to their actual growth because they haven't really done any training.
Right.
But once you get to a higher level, that is actually a big limiting factor.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially in like last week at that meet, it's a faster moving meet, and it's in an environment that's not climate controlled. It happened to be a very warm day in Columbus last week. This was 80 degrees
That's
outside.
rare.
Yeah. Especially during the Arnold. I mean, I've been down there a bunch of times. It's never been like that.
That's funny.
And then it's fast moving. You got 9 heavy lifts. But you're not chilling in between. You're getting ready. You're taking your warm ups, and you can tell who conditioned and who didn't very much. By the end of it, who was fading, who wasn't. The people who were conditioned were still strong at the end.
Nice.
So that's something I'm constantly harping on people about.
That's cool. I want to kind of change the tone here, only because, I don't think people see this other side of you, but how much has fitness shaped your relationships? I mean, your wife is in the business with you, but I've been able to kind of watch both of you and know how important it is in seeing that kind of glue. How has fitness really helped grow your relationship, and where does it fit regarding the importance in your life? Yeah,
I mean, it's unique in the sense that for her and I, it's top priority. We both do believe that for each other, we owe it to each other to be our best selves.
Nice.
And that's at the top of the order. We want to make sure that we're eating healthy, we're training, we're presenting the most healthiest self that we possibly can, both physically and psychologically in our relationships. And you see it all the time. People get in relationships and they kind of let that stuff go because there's nothing to impress anymore. We both believe that it's our obligation to each other to continue to put forth our best self. And so that's very important to both of us. And it really does shape our relationship because we're both kind of like pushing each other to be that little bit better every day, you know? And I'm from a practical standpoint, it makes things so much easier, you know, because
there's no friction.
Yeah, like this morning we decided to both get up. I wanted to go to the hotel gym and train, and she's right there with me, you know?
Oh, there's no like, it's not like pulling you whole.
Yeah.
Like Tanya has to like, hey, get up. She's a little bit of a pusher for me because I need that sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. So we both have that going, you know, and there's no friction in the sense that she didn't want to go. She's right there alongside me. So it's time we get to spend together too, which is cool. Also very unique. You know, when we first started dating, that was, that's what we did. We went on gym trips on the weekend.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, like we'd go to different cities and different gyms and go check those out together. And that's like a really key core memory to our early relationship that I bring up and I was really fond of. We don't do that much anymore because we do have our own gym now.
Yeah, it's nice. Like your actual spot is your culture, which is really cool. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so that's like the dream is having that. But early on, that's what we did. That was a lot of like our dates on the weekends. So it's like we'd pick a place to go and we'd go visit. And we'd go train. We'd go out to lunch or whatever afterwards. And
that's super cool.
It was really cool.
Nice.
You know, so that's definitely how like for us, it's like just such a central part of our relationship, you know, which is really awesome.
That's awesome. Sure. And it's fun to watch you guys build this business together. That's beyond probably what you thought it would be. Like it's already grown from when I met you. I mean, the growth that you've had both personally and professionally, I've been so, honored to be a part of, but also I've seen just the kind of like taking these risks because you put your body in a position where like, hey, I'm going to test my limits physically. Yeah. You could test yourself emotionally through business or psychologically.
Yeah. It's such a great point, you know, to tie that all together, you know, like I do tell people, you're training to build resilience in life, you know, and I think if that's like, if there's like a mission statement for like what I do, that's probably it, you know, cool. Because like training the numbers on the bar, that stuff's all amazing. It's exciting. It gets my adrenaline pumping. But when I do go through a stressful phase in life, like building a gym, you do have to be physically capable of handling that mental stress. If you're not,
you'll crumble.
You're going to crumble 100% because that foundation's not there. Like you said, you know, so that's where that all really ties together for us. It's like I'm building more resilient people to be able to not just handle the stuff in the gym or on the platform. It's what you can handle in everyday life.
Yeah, because I think people think all the time they hear me talk and like, oh, you're so motivating. I'm like, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty, demotivating for a lot of people because I tell people the truth that they don't like to hear.
They don't like that.
The thing that I also notice though is motivation comes after action.
Yes.
So it's the more activity you have in your life, the more motivated you are to continue to do that thing. But people think they need motivation to get started. Yeah. But that's not how it works. The formula for motivation is actually do the thing that you are bad at, get better at it. Therefore, you're more motivated to do it again. And then you see improvements and you're like, all right, I could keep this up. Yep. It's the same thing with physical and emotional and spiritual work. Whereas if I am doing something that's emotionally really, really taxing and hard, it's the physical thing that actually got me emotionally strong.
Yeah.
It's the emotional thing that got me spiritually deep. But you don't see that because people live very shallow. And a lot of times, I don't do superficial conversations well. I like to go deep with people, but you can't go deep with somebody who's spiritually deep that's emotionally shallow. Right. You cannot go emotionally deep with somebody who's physically not prepared to do that.
Yeah.
So what you are doing is you're giving them the foundational principles for them to actually take that next step in their journey, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And for the people that want to kind of take that step with you, you're on Reddit, you're a big X thread guy. You do a lot of stuff on the writing side, but like, where do most of the people find you and see you in your world?
Yeah. So kind of all over the place. Like you mentioned, I do have the in-person stuff's been a lot of referrals, of course. The online stuff's been primarily through X, Instagram. I'm on Substack now.
Got it.
I started doing that.
Why do you think people find you in those environments? Because those are areas in business that a lot of people don't like dabble into.
So part of it just feels like, for me, I mean, I think there was there's been an opportunity there for me, for sure. Like you said, I do enjoy writing, and I like doing that. I like to go deeper on the writing side of things. And I guess those are sort of pockets that maybe are a little bit outside the box that maybe other people
don't do.
And other people haven't thought about yet maybe in the business. And I've been on there for a while as well, so I've kind of been able to find those little pockets for myself that maybe they're not as like mainstream populated, but they fit my lane really well.
And you're probably attracting the right people because that's the way that you communicate. So you're really attracting people that are aligned with your values and the way that you write when it comes to fundamentals.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of, just kind of how that happened. Cool. It wasn't necessarily like I didn't have that like calculated at the start or anything like that, but there was people that I was following that were on there, maybe previous coaches that I've had or people I've had relationships with, they were on there and I saw like they were doing well. So I was like, I can write like that. I can post content like that. I can do video like that.
It's been pretty cool to see you scale that business because it's online, but then there's people that want to connect with you in person as well. So I'm really excited. I ask people when we're on this podcast, I like to put pressure in those environments and ask them questions that I think are like the superhero questions.
Yeah.
So I think every superhero, right? I'm a big comic guy, so I think it's actually fun. But if you were a superhero, who would you be?
What superhero would I be?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. That's a great question. I'm going to say Superman. Okay. But I'm going to say it for a different reason. I think Superman had a lot of empathy.
Interesting.
I think if you really watch the movies, like, obviously he's got all the physical stuff going and a lot of gifts, obviously. But one of his underrated superpowers, I feel like, is he cared about humanity a lot. He legitimately cared about people. He had a lot of humanity and empathy. And I think that's, for me, that's been my superpower throughout my coaching process is I can see and feel where people are at and be able to pull them into a better place. So superhero wise, I do like that a lot. I try to emulate that a lot. So it's kind of awesome. It's kind of an outside the box way of looking at it, but that's what I would say.
That's cool. I think that, every superhero has three things that are very clearly defined when they start writing this through line for the comic or for the movie. And that is what do they stand for?
Right.
So what does Jeremy stand for?
Yeah. So I stand for upholding your standards, helping other people, doing what you say you're going to do, having follow through in life, but also, humility's huge for me. I always know I have more to learn,
And just like anything when it comes to a business, right? There's things that you stand for, but there's things that you stand against.
Yeah.
What is it you stand against?
So for us, what I really stand against is, I guess, Brick Squad Barbell, we stand against traditional gym culture in the sense of what it looks like from an outside audience.
A mainstream standpoint.
I think a lot of people look at a gym like ours where it is a lot of powerlifters, it's a lot of bodybuilders, it's very high level performing people. And if you look from the outside, it's intimidating, it's scary, right? But there's a lot of strength in that environment. So we're trying to break the mold of what fitness looks like to that mainstream audience. And we kind of stand against what that's become and what that's looking like. To us, to me specifically, it has to come from a very authentic place. It has to come from actually wanting to help people. It can't just be me. It's about community, making people feel welcome. But when you look at a place like ours, you don't see that necessarily from the outside until you get to experience it.
True.
Because you see a bunch of meatheads probably from the outside.
Bunch of jack meatheads just rock.
But you get in there and you're like, they're
good people.
They're great people, and everybody wants to help each other.
That's awesome.
And so creating that foundation and community of just like positivity, we're standing against what gym culture either looks like from the outside or what it can become, which is a very me thing. And I'm trying to bring back like the high school weight room vibes.
That's cool.
Like
you've definitely done that, which is really exciting.
When you're in there with your team and you're grinding together. And I've always said, like, you don't really know somebody until you see them sweat under the bar.
That's cool.
And when you start to get to see your fellow gym members or, people training together like that, you start to know people on a different level.
Absolutely.
So I think that's something we really try to do with Brick Squad Barbell. And we try to bring that into the online space as well, and focus on the team environment. And we do the out-of-town meets and we take people places. And you do just get to know people on a different level that way.
That's really awesome. The last thing is, what is your flaw? Superman had kryptonite.
Yeah.
Batman had work-life balance issues.
Yeah.
What is your flaw?
I think my biggest flaw is it's kind of always been not thinking big enough. I think when I started my business, I didn't necessarily think past getting it going and helping people a little bit, helping people that were around me and people who wanted to be helped. I didn't think past that. I thought, let me start this and see what happens. I didn't have the vision's grown as I've grown, but I'm constantly having to put myself in different rooms, like this one, for example. You know, like being around you and all the other members has really shown me like what's actually possible for me. You know, in my area, I was only around what I was able to see in person tangibly. So I'm constantly trying to expand my environment and see like what my horizons actually look like. So I think for me, it's been not being able to think big enough on like a bigger picture, like what's actually possible here. I think very practical. I think in terms of like
owning a business and running a business and leading a team is not practical though.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing.
That's where it becomes challenging for me, because I haven't always been able to see like how big it can actually become, how far we can actually push it.
I think what's cool for me is like I get excited because I don't see, number one, I think the fundamentals that you have are stronger than some of the people that I've worked with in the past. And I think that your fundamentals are stronger and more substantially focused on for a longer period of time. So they're going to be more sustainable than the majority of people that are in this industry, which means that we're able to build a bigger house on top of it.
Yep.
And also what that means is that it could be a better house because we could add more bricks to it and it could like stack and stack and stack and it could be heavy and strong. But what's really exciting is that you're not going to have to go through the pain that I went through and many others went through because you have other people to kind of collapse time and make sure that you take not the shortcut, but the right road to get you to where you want to be. Yeah. And I'm excited for the future, man. I mean, I think this is just the beginning. I'm excited for more meets that you could push your limits on and see what a 9 for 9 looks like. But we'll look, it's an honor to be in the room with you. It's an honor to have you in the room. I think that environment always wins. And I think that culture is ever changing. And every time you add a new person to the culture, it changes the actual culture. And I think you've done nothing but add value to us and help so many people. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this trip, and I'm looking forward to seeing your next stage in your growth too. Yeah, I appreciate it. And like, I can't say enough about how much you guys have helped us. Like I said, like getting myself in a bigger room and like forcing that muscle to grow, no pun intended. Of like, pun intended. He wants my traps that don't exist.
So just being able to do that and put ourselves in the position to learn from you has really been extremely beneficial in our growth. Just the last little bit that we've known each other. Yeah. So it's an honor to be out here and get on here and share a little bit of my story. I really appreciate it. So
I appreciate you. It inspires me to keep it going, man. Yeah. I'm pumped for the next step, man. I'll see you.
Absolutely. Thanks.